Apex Legends, a game which, after having played it for the first time today, it turns out I don't really like. So we're going to take a look at running on the ROG Ally, and I guess if you don't learn anything, at least I did. It doesn't really have any presets, so we're going to be messing around just plopping it on the lowest of the low, medium-ish, and then probably onto high settings at 720p and 1080p, along with the 15 watt and 25 watt settings. We'll see how it runs, just see if we can keep it above 60 FPS. As this is a competitive shooter, we probably would want to put it around that range. Just an extra as well, if you feel like supporting the channel, we've got a link in the description to CD keys. If you do make a purchase from there, we may make a small commission. Really appreciate it if you're picking up a game that you'd check it out. But enough of that, let's get on with the testing. So, starting things off at 15 watt, 720p on the really low settings, and performance is actually really good. Indoors above 100 FPS, outdoors usually around sort of 70 to 80, but definitely above 60. The only problem is it is ugly as sin like this. The textures look absolutely hideous. I actually thought something had gone wrong with the game. It gave me the same kind of horror as catching a glimpse of myself in the mirror naked. I wouldn't suggest playing it like this. It looks gross.
Targeting that spot. 1 minute, ring's not far.
I'm down. Need a medic.
Now, pushing things up to kind of medium, not quite low, I think mostly just pushing up the texture streaming seems to help. And the game looks infinitely better. Textures don't look like mush anymore, and performance is still pretty solid at that 15 watt performance level. Hitting outside close to 60, I think if you just weren't looking at the frame rate, you probably wouldn't even notice it wasn't at 60. This could be a pretty cool way to do it if you're looking at doing it on 720p at 15 watts. Save yourself some battery, and you're still getting a pretty solid experience.
You can't escape death.
Ring's close. Got 30 seconds. Let's turn it up, mates.
Taking fire. That one's down. Reloading.
Now, we don't really have any headroom to go above that previous level on the 15 watt, so we'll take it up to 25 watt, 720p on the high settings. And yeah, it's pretty good. The game looks considerably better. We're above 60 FPS, closer to 80 FPS for the most part. It stays that way during combat. Not bad at all. I think if you were to take this down, you could probably even get it to push up to 100, maybe even more than that. If you wanted to look at it on medium, if you went 25 watt on the low, it'd still look really bad, but you probably would get about 220 to be honest. So yeah, pick your poison there.
Taking a knee. Patching up. I just dusted an entire unit. Hell yeah.
So, moving on over to 1080p at 15 watt, and that seriously low settings doesn't look quite as bad as it did at 720p, not nearly as offensive. The frame rate isn't hitting the blistering highs that it was before, but it is for the most part pretty close to 60. So much so that if you weren't paying attention, you probably wouldn't notice the difference. So if you're looking at something sort of base level 1080p, but still at 15 watts, this is an option. It still doesn't look great, but it's playable.
Ring's close. Easy 30. 10 seconds. Close range.
And finally, 1080p, 25 watts on the medium-ish kind of settings. And it's actually pretty good. The game looks considerably better than it did on the lowest settings. And we end up sitting sort of between the 50s and 60s. So much so that if you weren't paying attention, you probably wouldn't notice. If you wanted to go at 1080p, I think this is probably the best way to do it. You could probably push it up to high if you're happy with 40 FPS, but it's probably not worth the trade-off.
Round 3, beginning ring countdown.
Good. Inside this next ring.
Replicator.
Eyes up. Incoming replicator.
So what's the best way to do it? Well, I'd definitely stay away from that absolute lowest setting where the texture streaming is effectively on none. That looks like the kind of thing that if you watch in 7 days, Alma will come and kill you. I'd probably recommend keeping it at minimum to that medium, which does mean that 25 watts is probably the order of the day. You could do it at 15 watts at 720, and it is fine, but I feel more comfortable with the additional frames that that extra wattage gives you. Personally, I'd go 1080p on the medium-ish settings, and that should be enough. I think you get a reasonable enough frame rate, mid-50s, and just kind of switch off your monitors. Don't pay attention to that stuff, and you won't even notice the difference. But anyway, that's enough for Apex Legends. Hope this helped you out. If it did, be sure to leave a like, maybe subscribe to the channel. Check out the playlist on the end screen, as we've got loads more of these testing videos, and for the Steam Deck, ROG Ally and Nintendo Switch. And until the next time, see you later.